Minded people. Is that Randy? Whoa, whoa. Is that Randy over there? No. I just saw him crawl into the trunk of a car. Weird.
If you were writing a Hollywood script, you could not write a better script than this. It has everything. And I'm going to touch on that in a few minutes, Mr. Speaker. Intrigue, fraud, crime, criminal investigation, all of it would make for a blockbuster Hollywood movie. And yet here we are in the House of Parliament playing this one out because of a minister that was using his position to further himself, further his business with business partners that are suspect at best.
Oh, Randy. Where's Randy, guys? Look up. Is he up there? You up there blowing a squirrel, Randy? Oh, sorry. That squirrel identifies as a chipmunk. He's such a joke. Let's take a look. This is kind of fun. The state of Canadian federal politics is a mess. Randy BOISSONNAULT, clean it up. Let's take a peek. And his stories are hard to believe. They're like lies that a 7-year-old would tell. Such a child, a man-child. What is it? A queer man-child. Is there such a thing? There would be, I guess, to these woke folk.
We've answered that question already this week. My question, and a question that Canadians from the queer community want to know, is where was that member, who is a member of the queer community, when it came to 50% of kids living in the street who are LGBT because their straight parents kicked them out? Where's that member when Blaine Higgs went after trans kids in New Brunswick?
He says that he said that he was Indigenous in order that, and now, while his company has the same address as a place that has 2 cocaine busts, he says he doesn't know the person involved in that address either. Does this minister even know who he is?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister for Employment and Workforce Development from the top.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know the person referred to in the article today. I've never met her. I've had no dealings with her whatsoever. The article states that fact, and that is the fact.
But I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for adding that extra second on to allow me 20 minutes to speak about this important issue. And Mr. Speaker, if you were writing a Hollywood script, you could not write a better script than this. It has everything. And I'm going to touch on that in a few minutes, Mr. Speaker. Intrigue, fraud, crime, criminal investigation, all of it would make for a blockbuster Hollywood movie. And yet here we are in the House of Parliament playing this one out because of a minister that was using his position to further himself, further his business with business partners that are suspect at best.
I would be delighted to share that information with you in camera only, simply based on the turmoil that I have gone through in my personal life.
Sir, that's not how this works. You're obligated to provide fulsome answers to the committee.
So, Mr. Speaker, I think what I'd like to do for the next couple of minutes is just to revisit how we got here. As you know, Mr. Speaker, your ruling on the question of privilege that was brought forward by the committee, you agreed that privilege had been breached. There is an appropriate motion that was moved at that time that was effectively calling Mr. Anderson, the former minister's business partner, to the bar to answer the questions that he refused to answer at.
I'm going to ask you again, who's Randy?
Randy, as I said in my opening statement, was an autocorrect.
Okay.
Committee now. In the 12th report on the Standing Committee of Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics, I was obligated by the committee as its chair to present this report to Parliament, Mr. Speaker, and it had to do with the compliance of a minister with the Conflict of Interest Act, and it was really, in essence, failure to respond to an order of the committee. And of course, through the SDTC scandal, the fact that Parliament is seized with that privilege motion as well. Mr. Speaker, you understand that the supremacy of Parliament is paramount when we at committee or members ask for documents to be received, that the expectation is that those documents will be received because, again, the supremacy of Parliament is paramount. We have the right to compel the documents when we feel that they're not being provided to us. So on Tuesday, again, to revisit this, Mr. Speaker, on Tuesday, May 7th, this is the letter that I wrote, the report that I wrote to Parliament. The committee agreed, pursuant to Standing Order 1083H, to undertake a study of the compliance of a minister with the Conflict of Interest Act. In the course of this study, on Thursday, June 6, 2024, the committee adopted the following motion: that in light of media reports and the minister's testimony at this committee and the Ethics Commissioner's confirmation that he is considering opening another investigation into the minister's actions, the committee call on the following witnesses to appear before the committee and testify for 1 hour. And that included Stephen Anderson, the character in question, and Kirsten Poon, who was a partner with Global Health Imports. And that the committee requests that Stephen Anderson and the minister produce for the committee all of their phone records, text messages, iMessages, and all instant messages and call logs from all applications from September 8th, 2022, within 7 days of this motion being adopted. That September 8th date, Mr. Speaker, is critical in the context of the information that the committee was seeking in relation to the minister's actions in conducting business that he was not allowed to conduct. Mr. Anderson mentioned that some of the information requested was personal in nature. Fair enough. Requested that this information be guaranteed to be kept confidential, and that in the absence of the guaranteed confidentiality, that he would not submit some of the documents, and in the end, he did not submit any documents, despite the fact that the committee had compelled him to do so through an order. Now, pursuant to the same motion, Mr. Speaker, the committee invited Stephen Anderson to appear before it. During his appearance on Wednesday, July 17, 2024, Stephen Anderson repeatedly said that the Randy referred to in many text messages was an autocorrect. Oh. An autocorrect. Somehow there was a mistake that over 9 occasions, by his count, that the Randy in question in these text messages.
Randy. Where's Randy, guys?
Were in fact auto-corrected. There was also some suggestions that it could have been somebody named Randeep. But there were only 3 directors of this company, 2 principals, Mr. Anderson and someone named Randy. So it was highly improbable that there was a Randeep involved in this. And Mr. Anderson, and this is important, Mr. Speaker, he repeatedly refused to answer members asking for the name of the individual referred in the text messages, and that he said that he would consider providing that information on a confidential basis if the committee was to move in camera. Well, fortunately, Mr. Speaker, despite the obstructionist efforts of the Liberal members of the committee in its wisdom decided not to go in camera and asked Mr. Anderson to provide the name of Randy. And it goes on further that the committee noted to the Speaker in his ruling, the House of Commons Procedure and Practice, 3rd edition, 2017, at pages 1078 and 79, that witnesses must answer all of the questions which the committee puts to them. It goes on. I'm not going to read. It's in the manual. The committee also noted that on page 1081 that the following is noted in relation to the witness: refusal to answer questions or failure to reply truthfully may give rise to a charge of contempt of the House, whether the witness has been sworn in or not. And that's really the point that we're at right now. And as a result, and in response to Mr. Anderson's refusal to provide the name of the individual referred to during the meeting and other documentation requested, the committee adopted the following motion: that the committee order Stephen Anderson to produce all of the previously requested documents in addition to the name referenced in today's testimony. And if those documents were not received by Friday, July 19th at 12 p.m., the Chair prepare a report, which I'm reading from, to the House outlining the questions that Stephen Anderson refused to answer in writing and during testimony. Mr. Anderson, provided documentation to the committee. However, much of the information requested by the motion was not included.
Canadians that are following this know, Randy, there's one of you. And you keep saying there's two. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Let's get back to work for Canadians. Give me a break, man.
And more specifically, the name of the individual he was referring to during his testimony was also not provided to the committee. So pursuant to the order adopted by the committee did not receive any of the documents requested from the witness, and most significantly, the name referenced during the committee meeting of Wednesday, July 17, 2024, continued to be withheld. The committee, as I reported, feels that it was their duty to place these matters before the House at this time so that the House may take measures that it deems appropriate. Well, those measures, Mr. Speaker, as you have indicated, are to have Mr. Anderson, in a humiliating fashion, come before the bar of the House to answer those questions that were posed by the committee members. And once we dispose of this motion and we vote on it, despite many, as I said, obstructionist attempts by Liberal members of the committee to not get to this point, we are at this point where Mr. Anderson will be called before the bar to ask the questions that have been demanded of him. More specifically, who is the other Randy? Who is the other Randy? And that's what we need to get to the bottom of, Mr. Speaker. Now, as I said earlier,
Anderson, who's Randy?
As I said in my opening remarks, I would be delighted to share that information with you in camera only, simply based on the turmoil that I have gone through in my personal life.
Sir, that's not how this works. You're obligated to provide fulsome answers to the committee.
During your time with the company, with Mr. Anderson, you in fact were the only person named Randy. Mr. Anderson, who you're now deeply disappointed about, although you didn't say that when you first testified, blatantly lied to the committee about lying to Canadians and lying to the press that there was some other Randy.
If you had nothing to do with GHI, why wouldn't you simply pick up the phone, call PIERRE later, tell them that you have nothing?
Entering into business with Stephen Anderson, it shows Stephen Anderson listed 7 vehicles as collateral, 5 2019 Land Rovers and 2 2019 Porsches, totaling about $1 million. Yes or no, did you know about this?
Not.
So you were unaware that your business partner posted 7 high-end luxury vehicles as collateral. That's your story?
I didn't review that as part of the filings of the company. It was his decision to put collateral. I didn't have any collateral up in my particular.
Are you currently driving any of the Land Rovers or Porsches?
I am not.
Okay. Well, I'm quite sure that no one believes you, other Randy. Mr. Chair, Mr. Brock.
Mr. Chair. Okay, Mr. Barrett, I'm going to suggest that was not appropriate. I'm going to go to Mr. Barrett. Thank you. Or Mr. Brock, go ahead.
Minister, despite your best efforts, this story is not going away anytime soon. The cloud of suspicion will hang over you until the next election, after which time you'll be looking for a new job. Let's take a look at the facts. Galway Group knew of only one Randy, and that Randy was a minister of the Canadian government. That's yourself. At all material times prior to your election, you were in a 50-50 partnership with Anderson. During your time with the company, with Mr. Anderson, you in fact were the only person named Randy. Mr. Anderson, who you're now deeply disappointed about, although you didn't say that when you first testified, blatantly lied to the committee about lying to Canadians and lying to the press that there was some other Randy. He also promised this committee to provide us with details as to who the other Randy is. And surprise, surprise, Minister, he couldn't. Because by doing so, he would identify yourself. Then we now find out on September the 6th, you're in a text communication with Anderson, you're in a phone call with Anderson, despite you assuring us at committee the first time that you've had no communication with Mr. Anderson. Highly, highly suspicious, Mr. Boissonnault. And furthermore, you know full well that this is indeed an operational issue that is banned by the ethics laws for any minister to engage in a management capacity or an operational capacity. You could have had a staffer reach out to Anderson. You could have simply told the courier company, I got nothing to do with the company, deal with Anderson, go pound salt, not my responsibility. You chose to take matters into your own hands to deal directly with Mr. Anderson. Those are the uncontroverted facts. Now, you're also relying upon the fact that you exercised your due diligence with this committee and your due diligence with the Ethics Commissioner. I asked you specifically to provide us with details, all your text messages on all your devices. You failed to do that, Minister. You gave this committee only one set of records pertaining to one device. I was led to believe you told the Ethics Commissioner you had two devices. Again, the Ethics Commissioner is not an investigator. They don't have investigative powers like law enforcement. They can't obtain production orders on service providers to verify what you are saying. So the Ethics Commissioner has to take it on good faith that you're being honest. I've got some serious reservations about your honesty, as do Canadians. So, will you provide this committee with all text records on all your devices? And tell us how many devices you had in your possession in the fall of 2022.
Mr. Chair, will you give me 2.5 minutes to respond?
We have to
There's only one question.
I think it was a very simple question. Mr. Brock was commenting.
It was a 2.5-minute question.
I realize that, but it was a very simple question. I'm going to ask you to answer the question, and then I'm going to go to Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Brock, the information that you cited in your monologue was reviewed by the Ethics Commissioner. I'm not the Randy in question. It is not me. It's not possible for it to be me. That is in the Commissioner's letter of September 12th. He considers this matter closed. And look, I'm at the committee's disposal, and I provided the committee with information that it required of me.
Minister, will you provide us with full information?
That's time then.
Will you provide us with, what are you hiding, Minister?
So, just relax.
What are you hiding?
Minister,
I've never seen you do that to anyone else.
No, because when I get you in my ear over here and I'm trying to listen to what's going on, then I can't focus on the questioning, Ms. Khalid. Okay, so, Minister, I'm going to ask you on behalf of Mr. Brock. You've been asked a very specific question about the devices. Are there any other devices that you can provide to the committee, sir?
No, Mr. Chair, because I provided all text messages across all devices for the dates in question across all platforms as asked by the committee.
You could not write a Hollywood script better than this. It has it all, Madam Speaker. Has it all. The meeting, the chance meeting of the former minister and Mr. Anderson on an airplane flight coming out of Montreal and striking up a conversation about how it would be great if they got into business together. And I bet that the minister sure regrets that decision at this point, given the character that he was aligning himself with. The company was set up after that chance meeting, and those connections are critical because the minister at that time was not in government. He had been so previously, but he had gained a tremendous amount of connections within government that could elevate and escalate this business into dealings that it would not otherwise have. And certainly over the course of the last 9 years, the extent of insiders, the connected cronies, that have benefited as a result of their connections to this Liberal Party are well documented, not the least of which is the SDTC scandal, Frank Baylis. The list is as long as the day of those insiders connected to the Liberal parties who have benefited as a result of that connection. The opportunity, well, there was an opportunity. The opportunity was for pandemic profiteering, Madam Speaker. We had gone to the height of a pandemic. There was procurement that was being done all over the country to try to supply PPE, for example, contracts that were being sole sourced. So the opportunity was there for pandemic profiteering, a perfect storyline for a Hollywood script. The fraud, which we've found out since, Madam Speaker, 7 lawsuits have been filed against the minister's company of which he was a director of. 7 civil suits for fraud, not supplying material that had already been paid for. In fact, Madam Speaker, one of the last straws, it wasn't the only last straw on this, was the fact that there's a sworn affidavit that was just filed a couple of weeks ago that actually names the former minister as the Randy in question in one of these civil lawsuits. And so that sworn affidavit is certainly an indictment on who was involved with it. Then there was the fire, the famous fire at the company that still to this day remains unsolved. How this warehouse was set on fire that housed many of the products that GHI was storing. The cocaine connection, where one of the people involved with this company was it's almost laughable. They were found to be transporting cocaine on an airplane, sharing a mailbox with this company. The cover-up, the extent to which the cover-up went on, and I mentioned that briefly in the information that I provided earlier, but the text messages, the fact that they weren't submitted after they were asked. And Madam Speaker, the importance of those text messages is because Mr. Anderson was directly communicating with the minister while he was at a ministerial retreat in British Columbia. And yet there was denial after denial on the part of the minister, and there was denial on the part of Mr. Anderson, and yet it's been proven through the text messages that they were in fact communicating. Wow. Well, the minister was sitting around the cabinet table. Intrigue. Hollywood script. And I did mention this earlier, but I think it's worth mentioning again, Madam Speaker. We saw many of the Liberal members really trying to obstruct the committee's work on this, whether they were filibustering certain motions. The role of the Ethics Committee as an oversight committee is to get down to the bottom of ethical breaches and violations, whether it's related to the Code of Conduct or the Act itself. And they were obstructing in every way. I finally had a sidebar conversation with the Vice Chair, and I said to him, I said, if you're willing to stake your political career and capital on defending this guy, given the amount of evidence that has been produced before us, the text messages, the civil lawsuits, the sworn affidavit, I said, this is not a hill that I would die on, quite frankly, and we've seen in recent news that they let him go. But again, more intrigue, the money, almost $110 million in contracts, a $500,000 fraud case that's going on for not supplying PPE to a company that had already forwarded the money. And of course, we heard about the Indigenous connection too, Madam Speaker. The fact that the company had claimed an Indigenous connection and be able to submit bids on Indigenous procurement and contracts. And certainly the mighty Ogo has been dealing with that and other committees as well. But the minister was embarrassingly had to step down as a result, in large part, because of that false claim of the Indigenous connection. And I think the icing on the cake on this one, and the last straw, was certainly the police investigation, Madam Speaker. The fact that the Edmonton police are now involved and engaged in a criminal investigation onto this company. I think the Prime Minister had no other choice, Madam Speaker, but to force the resignation and have the Minister stand down as a result of all of those things. A beautiful Hollywood script that would probably be a moneymaker if it was to be produced. Now, of course, if you were to produce a movie like that, you'd need a cast, you'd need an ensemble. So who would some of those cast members be? So, you know, maybe perhaps for Randy, we might look at Stanley Tucci or Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. Stephen Anderson. I thought he thought, as chair of the committee, I saw him come into I think he thought that he was auditioning for a reality TV show when he came into committee. Honestly, he lacked the credibility and the indifference he showed to our committee in requesting this information was quite something. So who would play him? Brad Pitt, maybe. Charlie Sheen might play him. Who would play the chair of the committee? Who would play me? Well, I think Mike Pence would be a good choice, but I'm not sure that the former Vice President of the United States would go. So I'd settle for Tom Cruise if that was the case, and then for the Prime Minister, I'm thinking maybe Kevin from The Office would be a good choice for that. But other ensemble members, Madam Speaker, Rosie O'Donnell certainly would be there. Gerald Depardieu. My favorite actor, Denzel, would be part of that. Ryan Reynolds. We could get Cher in there as well. Macaulay Culkin and Jude Law. I suggest that perhaps for the member from St. Albert, Edmonton, that would be a good choice of actors. And of course, Dog the Bounty Hunter, because he would be himself, because the committee has summoned both Mr. Anderson and the other one, Papineau, Miss Anderson and Papineau to the committee. We summoned them the other day, so we're hoping. So maybe Dog the Bounty Hunter can find them because they're nowhere to be found on the radar. But Madam Speaker, seriously, the minister has stepped down, forced to step down as a result of all of the things that I've listed that would make this perfect Hollywood script. He said he wants to clear his name. He's going to take time to clear his name, and he has not. I haven't seen him since. I suspect that he's probably out there. And I really would like to give the minister an opportunity to clear his name. We have Mr. Anderson. Once this motion does get approved, Mr. Anderson will be appearing before the bar. The motion indicates how many members on each side are going to be able to ask Mr. Anderson questions. And if the former minister and the member from Edmonton Centre truly wants to clear his name, I can't think of a better way to do that than in this place, facing his accuser. I think that would be a perfect opportunity. Get out of the fetal position, lick your wounds, come in here and face your accuser, Madam Speaker. And so I want to give the member from Edmonton Centre that opportunity. And so that's why I propose and I move, seconded by the member for St. Albert, Edmonton. Actually, I'm going to change that to the member from Cypress Hills, Grassland, because I don't see the member in his. He's here. Are you in? Okay. Yes. So I'm going to move, seconded by the member for St. Albert, Edmonton. Yeah. Either Macaulay Culkin or Jude Law. That the amendment be amended in subparagraph F1 by adding the following, followed by an additional 10 minutes, which shall be allocated to the member for Edmonton Centre. That'll give him an opportunity to face his accuser in this place at the bar in an attempt to clear his name, and I think that will make for an interesting ending to this movie. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Find the people. Is that Randy? Whoa. Is that Randy over there? No. I just saw him crawl into the trunk of a car. Weird. Randy's the gimp. Old Randy Bolsonaro, the gimp.
Well, bring out the gimp. The gimp's sleeping. Well, I guess you just have to go wake him up now, won't you?
Gimp sleeping. Wake him up then. Aaron, Kennedy, and Looney, like, share, subscribe, get notified. Come and join us for one of the live shows. Thank you for watching this video. Check out one of my shorts. We'll catch you next time. We'll be covering the committee, so come and join us, and we'll be covering that live. It'll be a fun thing to watch. We'll get to the bottom of it. Randy and the other Randy, Randy Bolsonaro, Randy Bobandy, Randy the Native, like, goodness gracious. Or Randy the Indigenous. Goodness gracious, Randy. Get a clue, man. Get it together. We're gonna find you. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
Old Randy's a tweaker, guys. What a weirdo. Here's just one clip.
Julian! I don't know where I felt like I could get a little drink around here, do you, bud?
Jim, I got $7,500 for you. You get the other $5 grand tomorrow.
Wow, that's a lot of money, Julian. You must be doing quite well for yourself. You got a new car, lots of cash, a big, strong man with a good head on your shoulders. What kind of shampoo do you use? Have to ask.
Jim, look. Is the trailer mine or what?
She's deputy leader of the opposition party. Yeah. Anyway, let's take a look. It's nuts.
Member from Thornhill.
Another day, and we're still waiting for the Minister of Employment to introduce us to other Randy, the one who was cashing checks from a company that was lobbying the government, winning contracts, and using the minister's name to do it. That's not allowed. It's illegal. The text messages reveal that someone named Randy at the minister's company was part of a $500,000 fraud. So will the employment minister finally get up on his feet and tell everyone the super secret identity of the other Randy?
The Honourable Minister for Employment and Workforce Development.
Mr. Speaker, I am all too happy to set the record straight. I have had no role in this company since being elected in 2021. Regarding the day in question, I have shared my phone records to the committee and with the commissioner, which confirms that I am not the person in this story. Mr. Speaker, I have said it. The companies have said it. And now I've proved it. I was not involved. Mr. Speaker, let's get back to working for Canadians and focusing on the real issues.